going to know? How are you going to give to them if you don't even know them? Part of being good is you have to be concerned about your surroundings. You have to know who's who, who's in need. They're not going to come to you and ask you. لا يسألون الناس إلحافا in the Quran. They're not going to come and wrap themselves around you and ask the people and beg them for money. They're not necessarily going to get up on the mic and ask for a fundraiser. You have to be aware of your neighbor. You have to be aware of your surroundings. This is part of being good. The people that are basically incapable of helping their situation. They're in a situation of weakness, be it financial or otherwise. And these, it's a tough economy. Somebody lost their job. They can't even buy groceries for the family anymore. But they're coming to the masjid every day. You should tell them their face something is wrong. That's how, this goodness is. We're supposed to be concerned for the other. So these are, we can pass over these words and say, oh yeah, give to the orphan, give to close, got it. I already know this list. But think about how this applies to your life. It's a pretty demanding thing. And it changes the way you perceive others around you. SubhanAllah. The qurba wal yatama wal masakin wa ibn as-sabil, and the one in the midst of travel. The son of the path is an expression in Arabic for the one in the midst of travel. How many times do we have people coming to visit our communities, Muslim communities, and they have to book a hotel? Right? That's a shame on the Muslim community if somebody visits our city and they have to book a hotel. We should be competing with each other and they can stay at our house. We have to spend on them. That's an honor Allah has given us. They take the sins of the family with them. SubhanAllah. وَابْنَ السَّبِيلِ. Then of course at the end of this list, وَالسَّائِلِينَ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. That's obvious. وَالسَّائِلِينَ, those who ask. Those who are actually going to come up to you and ask you. What does that tell you about all these other categories before we got to this one? They're worthy. Perhaps even more worthy, but they don't ask you. So who has to be doing the asking? You do. It's completely different. The way we think about giving sadaqah, we wait for somebody to come and ask. We wait for the fundraiser. We wait for them to say, Fi sabilillah, and here's the refugees, and here's this, and here's that. You're supposed to be the one to ask first. And then down the list is wasa'ilin, wa fi riqab, and those in bondage, which is for slavery. And some have also, among our salaf, interpreted it to mean debt also, to be in the bondage of debt. So to find those who are buried under debt and to free them from that. This is a kind of slavery also. Now this is part 2 of righteousness. Part 1 was iman inside. Part 2 was generally a concern for giving. A concern for giving. And all these different categories. You become you could call it a true humanitarian. Right? A real humanitarian is concerned. But this is not the only righteousness. There's a part 3. وَأَقَامَ. And on top of being this ethically, wasn't this ethics, by the way? Right? The second part was ethics. But in addition to being this ethically good person, what else does he have to do? And he established the salah. The salah is a part of, it's a consistent, it's not aw aqama salah or thumma aqama salah. After he's that good, then he can establish. No, wa aqam, it's immediate. It's simultaneous. And he established the salah. And wa ata zakah, you guys know what that means, right? And give the zakah. So Allah talks about zakah separately, and he talked about giving all of those people separately. So that was in addition to what? That was in addition to zakat. That wasn't the 2.5% and you're done. Zakat is the minimum. This is like a reference to the Sharia. You have to fulfill the limitations of the Sharia. But the goodness, that high state, is achieved by a person who's already giving. And of course they establish the salah, and of course they give the zakat. And then there's a switch in the language. وَالْمُوفُونَ, an ism is used, ism fa'il is used. And this is a rhetorical feature of Arabic to refer to something that is permanent and fixed. And more important, that was mentioned before. He says, and those, I'm going to use more English words to try to translate and communicate the message of the words, and those who scrupulously, relentlessly fulfill their promises if and when they get into an agreement. If and when they get into a promise, they are scrupulous, relentless in fulfilling it. I'll see you at 8 o'clock means I'll see you at 8 o'clock. Right? I'll pay you by Thursday means I'll pay you by Thursday. You go and your mom says, go to school on time, and you say, yes, I will. That means, yes, you will. It's not casual. There's no such thing as Muslim standard time. Right? There's no such thing. Sometimes we take our promises very casually. How are you going to know? How are you going to give to them if you don't even know them?